So good morning to everyone. It's such a pleasure to welcome you to our first webinar of a series of three with our partners at the United Nations. This is we call it Technical Webinar 1, Making Cities Resilient 2030, an overview of the profile. So this is quite a high level introductory hour for us, just to mostly meet each other and to talk about your cities and what we call supporting indicators or profile indicators to help to understand the profile of the city resilience in your city. And that will allow for a deeper dive into the next two webinars, which is around the data-driven insights for more resilient cities, and this third webinar, which is even the exciting part of thinking about next steps and actionable steps based on this data for where we can start to help to think about a roadmap forward on resilience. So with that, the next slide, please. I just wanted to also welcome Sanjay. I don't know if he's here yet, though. I think he's having trouble. Is he on, Justine? Not yet. Okay, so we'll just welcome him as soon as he can get his technical issues sorted out. It's a pleasure to be with you all and to walk you through this agenda this morning. So we're going to move from the introduction, which will be a few more minutes, and then move straight to the city's presentations, starting with Makati, and then Vaughan, then Doral, then Ajman and Reykjavik. Our discussion will then, hopefully we can allow 15 minutes for discussion, and we will then have closing remarks from the UN and myself. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and for being part of this wonderful pilot project together. Next slide, please. So I thought it would be nice at this stage to do a bit of a roundtable introduction, to just go through who you are, your title, your city, and anything else you might like to add, just to do a quick roundtable of who is on the call with us this morning. Justine, for this purpose, it might be useful just to take, yeah, thank you. Okay, so how about we start with, can I just call you from left to right on my screen? So I'm going to start with my colleague, Justine, who is also going to be co-hosting this event this morning with us. This morning, I should say good evening to those of us and colleagues in the Philippines, and good afternoon to Reykjavik. The rest of us, I think, are a little bit more in the same time zone, early morning. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. So Justine, would you like to introduce yourself? We'll start with you.
Thanks, Patricia, and good to see everyone today. I'm Justine Hamilton Arvise, and I'm the manager of city relations at the WCCD, and I've had the great pleasure of working with all of you.
Great. And I'm second in my screen. So I'm Patricia McCarney, the president and CEO of the World Council on City Data here in Toronto. And then I have Borhilder. I think, Borhilder, you're on mute.
No, we have a speaker, so it looks like Peter is talking, but it's me. I'm Thorhildur. I'm working in Reykjavik City, financial information and data.
Welcome. It's great to have Reykjavik part of our network. Lauren.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Rutherford. I'm a city coordinator with the WCCD, and I've met a couple of you, but a couple of new friendly faces today. So nice to see everyone.
And Eleanor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ellie Schofel. I'm one of the coordinators of city certification at the WCCD. It's great to be with you all today.
Thank you. That was the WCCD team. Now we're moving to another line with Eileen from Doral.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eileen Fernandez. I'm the acting IT director for the city of Doral.
Part of Miami-Dade in Florida.
Yes, Miami-Dade.
Yeah. Kelly, welcome.
Hi. Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly Sutton, the manager of strategic planning and corporate performance measures with the city of Vaughan, and I'm happy to be here today.
Great. Welcome. Nice to have you. And Dr. Hajar.
Hi everyone, this is Hajar Saeed, the CEO of Ajman Statistics Center, representative for Ajman City.
Greetings, Dr. Hajar from the UAE. And then I have Kathy. Hi, Kathy. There's a mute there. Yeah.
There it goes. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Always some technical difficulties. I'm Kathy Castidas. I'm the Director of Transformation and Strategy with the City of Vaughan in Canada. We're all very thrilled to be here. Thank you to WCCD for pulling us all together. Looking forward to the discussions.
Thanks, Kathy. And next I have Marwa from Ajman in the UAE.
Hi everyone, I'm Marwan Najjar, Executive of Data Collection at Ajman Statistics Center, and it's a pleasure to meet you today.
And Stefania.
Hi, my name is Stefania. I'm the risk officer at the city of Reykjavik. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome. And Victor.
Was it me?
I have Odur. I have
Oh,
Peter.
yeah. Hi.
Odur. Sorry. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Odur.
Yeah, hi. So I'm a product manager and I work with Doral for the city of Reykjavik. Nice to be here and see everyone.
Great. Welcome. Peter, do you want to introduce yourself?
So hi, my name is Peter. Lovely to be here. I am overseeing the data gathering process of the ISO standards for Reykjavik City.
Great. Nice to have you all here from Reykjavik this morning. Thank you. Sharon from Vaughan.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Walker, Manager of Emergency Planning for Vaughan.
Welcome. Nice to meet you. And Liza from Makati in the Philippines is next in my screen.
Hi everyone, I'm Liza Ramos, the Research and Planning Head of the Makati Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, of course, of Makati City in the Philippines.
Great, welcome. And then I have Kelly next, but Kelly Sutton, yes.
Oh, I already went, Patricia.
Yeah, I know. My screen bounced around. Next I have, oh, there's Dr. Hajar, who's also introduced herself. I have Queen Ivy from Makati.
Hi everyone, I'm Ivy Nonato, one of the technical staff under the Research and Planning Division of Makati DRRM from Makati.
Great, thank you. Jean-Denise Temple.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Sean Campo. I'm also a technical staff from Makati City.
And Ruth Jean.
Hello everyone, I'm Ruth Agwas. I'm also a technical staff under the Research and Planning Division of the Makati Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office in the Philippines.
Great, nice to have the Makati team with us this morning as well. And then last but not least, I have our two UN colleagues. So shall we start with you, Sanjaya?
Yes, nice to meet you all. I'm Sanjaya. I'm the head of the Global Education and Training Institute, where we coordinate the Making Cities Resilient 2030, which I'll talk about in a while. So welcome to all of you.
Great. Good evening to you and good morning from here. Lovely to see you, Sanjaya. Andy.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, Patricia. Hi. Good evening, everybody. I'm Andy McElroy, part of Sanjaya's team in Incheon, South Korea, and I work on the Making Cities Resilient 2030 initiative. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope I haven't missed anyone as the screen was bouncing around on me here. No, everyone's been introduced. Great. Okay, so Justine, can you take us back to the deck and then we'll get started? There's just a few little housekeeping things I think I have to run through and then off we go. Okay, so some of the housekeeping notes. Let's run down the list. First of all, the webinar is being recorded today, just so you know, and it will be distributed for reference following the session to all of you. An attendee contact sheet will also be circulated following the roundtable so that you can all be in touch with each other. The resilience profiles that will be presented today are about 5 minutes each. In the interest of keeping to the schedule, I hope that that's fine for you so that we have time for questions and comments at the end. Also, if anyone has questions and comments during the presentations, we ask that you maybe enter them in the chat if that's possible, or just reserve them for the last 15 minutes. And we'll monitor the chat box as well and try and compile the questions for discussion. So with that, I would like to now introduce our very wonderful colleague, Sanjaya. Sanjaya is as he introduced himself, is the head of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. And that's based in Incheon, Korea. And Sanjay is also head of the office of UNDRR's Global Education and Training Institute, or GETI, where he's guided the training of over 9,000 government officials like yourselves across the globe. And I know there's interest in having some further educational opportunities for this network of cities as well. So with that, Sanjay, I would ask you to offer us a small introduction to this work.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. I hope you can all hear me clearly.
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So I think most of you are familiar with Making Cities Resilient campaign, which ran from 2010 to 2020, and the Making Cities Resilient 2030, which started in 2021 and all the way to 2030. The objective is to create a network of cities where cities can help each other, can interact with partners, and can share their experiences on implementing various efforts for resilience. Now, the MCR 2030 also, from the start, has promoted the ISO 37123, and UNDRR has been involved with World Council for City Data in development of this ISO. So why it is important? Because you can't fix things if you can't measure them. And data is the measure of where you are today and how and to an indication of what are the gaps, what needs to be changed. So when you go through the ISO 3712 or ISO 37120 series, which includes the 123, then you go through the process, you establish the mechanisms to collect data and to report on it with quality and in a fashion which is comparable, so that you can utilize it for making decisions which are risk informed and which can help you to increase resilience. So for us, this is very important that there is this initiative with the World Council for City Data. We have this joint collaboration, and we are trying to promote the use of the ISO 37123 to help cities like yours to establish these systems by which they can better know where you are and understand better where you need to be, and what is that process and journey for you. So I look forward to hearing all of your experiences today. I think all of you are members of the ISO 3712 of the MCR 2030. In case you aren't, please do join, because there are 1,530 cities and about 400 partners, including national governments as members. And they are keen, very keen to hear your experiences and know how you are tackling these challenges and how you are establishing these systems. So please go through this series of webinars, these 3 webinars, and then document your process so that you can share it with others. And perhaps at a later stage, we could introduce a system of mentoring other cities, because the peer-to-peer learning is the best way to do it. So with this, again, I thank you for your time. I thank Patricia and the team at WCCD to organize this series, and welcome you all again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjaya. Pleasure to see you, and thank you very much for your support of this project. It's been really terrific, and the cities have all come through now ISO 37123, which you'll be hearing about from each of the cities in just a few minutes. They went very quickly, I have to say. It was fantastic work on the part of all the cities and the team here at the WCCD. So we're really happy to have these new 5 cities as part of this work. I do want to say that and underline the fact how wonderful we had this partnership with UNDRR over the years. We started really when we formed the WCCD back in 2014. ISO 37123 wasn't even in the track at that time. We just formed the WCCD, and we were partnering with the United Nations as early as the first project, which was, I think, 2015, Sanjaya, when we started to think about local resilience indicators. And it was with this idea of enhancing insurability at that stage, to think about insurance and helping cities to have data to support their resilience roadmap even back then. But we hadn't started the process, and then we took the idea of resilience indicators to ISO in Geneva, and we got this new work item proposal into the track, and we started to think about what indicators could be included. We examined the Sendai framework to see how we might map some of the indicators to the existing Sendai framework. At the local level, that was in 2017. And then we were supporting resilience data and speaking and then consulting with cities in 2019. And then we published ISO 37123. And this project is all about rolling that out and testing it with cities. And so these U5 cities as pilot cities of this work is part of this continuum of really a dedicated effort to build data at the local level. As you know, a lot of the UN work is often with member countries, but Sanjaya has really turned that around inside the United Nations and thought about cities to really build this effort at the MCR 2030 project as a result of that. So it's really wonderful that you 5 leading cities here are making this possible with data. You're really the first. So congratulations to all of you in achieving ISO 37123 certification and being part of this pilot. It's been 10 years of unfolding, gradually thinking about a more data-driven response at the city level for the resilience work worldwide. So you're really the first 5 in this work. So it's a wonderful network that is being formed. And we hope, as Sanjay said, we can start to help other cities and support other cities to become part of this as well. So the cities that are here today are the first 5. And of course, with the ISO 37123 certification, as Sanjay mentioned, that it makes you eligible to become MCR members, MCR 2030 members, which I think most of you are now part of this work. And you've come in at the highest level, which is level C in the network. So you're really in a position to help nurture other cities and demonstrate data-driven success on resilience. I think the only thing I might mention today is we're going into, this is the first of 3 webinars. June 15th and June 22nd are the next 2 dates. And this is the roadmap of this project that you are part of. So the certification, of course, and welcoming you into the cohort. And then these 3 technical webinars. The first one today being the whole overview and the high level profile of each city for introductory reasons. And then moving to webinar 2, the presentation of data-driven resilience insights. That's where we'll take a bit of a deeper dive into the data. And on the 22nd of June, webinar 3, sharing knowledge for next actionable steps. And that's really an interesting point. I know Sanjaya has always talked about in our WCCD as a core partner in the MCR 2030 project. And he's always talking about how we can use this data to propel a more informed roadmap, but also what he calls bankable projects, which always resonates with me because it's really important for cities to think about how this data-driven insights can help to propel next steps in terms of investment in more resilience-led projects, resilient infrastructure, etc. So, and then of course, next steps and continued collaboration and future opportunities that we can explore going forward here. So with that, I think I'm going to just say the profiles today, I should mention, many of the profiles are mapped from the MCR profiles, but we do recognize, of course, that there may be others that we are going to talk about today that such as, more technological or human-made hazards, such as hazardous material spills, violence or civil disorder, etc. So it's really interesting to start to actually build out at the city level what some of these risks look like in each of your cities. So with that, I'm going to now pass the chair to Justine to call on each of the 5 cities to offer their presentations to us. Thank you very much for your time this morning to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. I'll turn it to the cities in just a moment, but a short housekeeping note. If we could kindly, as much as possible, keep to the 5-minute sessions, that would be much appreciated to make sure everyone has the opportunity to present in our hour. And I'll just give you a quick note in the last minute of your 5, just to flag for you and to start the closing notes. And as Patricia mentioned, if you could kindly record any questions or thoughts in the Q&A or chat, then we can make sure we get to them at the end. So I'd like to start by welcoming our colleague, Liza Ramos, the division head of the research and planning in Makati's disaster risk reduction office. So over to you, Liza.
Hello again, everyone. So again, I'm Liza Ramos, and just before I start, I would just like to also acknowledge my team members who are really part of the city's participation in this ISO 37123, and they are here in our platform today. So let's go to the next slide, since we only have 5 minutes. For those who are not there you go. For those who are not familiar with Makati, Makati is in the Philippines, and it's actually part of the Metropolitan Manila, one of the 17 local government units in the Metropolitan Manila. And basically, Makati is the business and financial center of the country. So just imagine the big role of Makati whenever there's a disaster that's going to happen and strike us. So that's also our motivation in really investing into the resilience field. Basically, Makati being the business and financial center, its economic activity is really focused on the service industry. So most of our income is actually comes from business taxes because of the presence of major businesses and commercial establishments in the city. Next slide, please. So if you just would like to imagine, that is the Philippines, and in the center of the Philippines is the National Capital Region, or the Metropolitan Manila, where Makati is situated. Next slide, please. In terms of our population, our local population is just around 600,000. But it actually balloons to 3 up to 4 million during daytime. Again, because of the nature of the services or the nature of the city in general as the business and financial hub of the country. But as you can see on the slide, our city is a youthful city. While this is based on the 2015 census of the country, you can see that most of the local population of Makati is really in the early career stage, meaning we have, you know, the population to really work and invest on different services, including disaster resilience. Next slide, please. So over the years, Makati has been growing just like any other urban city. But Makati being a built-up city already, the increase in population over the years has actually, you know, just small percentages. So for the past years, on an annual average, our population increased for just about 1.9%. And we're expecting this to still be, you know, be the case in the coming years. We're still expecting growth in our population, especially because of in-migration. Makati has been providing a lot of social perks or benefits for our constituents. And so that basically is encouraging other people from other provinces and regions to come into the city and stay there and be a resident of the city. Next slide, please. In terms of our hazards, of course, the Philippines being a typhoon belt and located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, name it, we have it. We are prone to both geologic and hydrometeorological hazards. Even, of course, human-induced hazards. No, so as you can see on this screen, these are a number of hazards that we are facing, and we are trying to invest on addressing. Next slide, please. And finally, the last slide. So just to give you an overview, the Makati as part of the Philippines is, of course, very fortunate that we do have our national law on disaster risk reduction and management, providing and requiring all local government units to have a permanent office for disaster risk reduction and management. So because of that, we're also required and mandated to develop our local disaster risk reduction and management plan. And for Makati, because of our involvement in the Making Cities Resilient since its launch in 2010, we've been, you know, we were able to actually institutionalize the MCR process and even toolkits into our disaster risk reduction and management planning. And because of that, we were able to actually invest on many aspects of DRRM, from pre-disaster up to post-disaster. And because of that, we have been recognized by the UNDRR as the Making Cities Resilient champion during the first launch of the MCR. But now that we're in MCR 2030, we're actually recognized as a resilience hub. And so we continue our work not only to invest within the city, but to also share our experiences globally. I think that's about it. So if you have any further questions about Makati and our resilience efforts, we are happy to provide you more information in our open discussion later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liza. I'm just going to spotlight our next speakers here. And I'd like to introduce Kelly Sutton, manager in the Strategic Planning and Corporate Performance Measures Department at the City of Vaughan, just outside of Toronto, Canada, as well as Sharon Walker, the manager of Emergency Planning in the City of Vaughan.
Thanks, Justine. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here and representing City of Vaughan this morning. So as Justine mentioned, I will be covering the first 4 slides here, and then I'll hand it over to my colleague Sharon, who's going to present the last couple of slides to delve deeper into our city's hazard profile. So without further delay, I'll introduce you to the City of Vaughan. So the city of Vaughan is experiencing remarkable growth with our population approaching 340,000 at the end of last year. Our downtown core is growing faster than expected, and it's projected to achieve an ambitious target of 12,000 residential units and 1.5 million square feet of commercial office space and 750 square feet of new retail space by 2031. In a significant milestone for our city in 2021 marked the opening of the Cordalucci Vaughan Hospital, which is Canada's first fully integrated smart hospital. And that remarkable achievement is also established Vaughan's very first hospital and also represents Ontario's first new net hospital that's been constructed in the last 30 years. Climate change and business resilience, economic stability are paramount in Vaughan's strategic priorities. We firmly recognize that their significance and have integrated them into our term of council strategic plans. To enhance our readiness, resilience, and resourcefulness in our local business community for the long term, we developed the Vaughan Business Resilience Plan. It's a comprehensive pandemic recovery strategy that's designed to support our businesses and recovering from challenges and to build a stronger future. Our senior leadership team, in collaboration with our Vaughan Fire and Rescue Services and our manager of emergency planning, oversees the city's resilience efforts. And we take pride in having achieved our ISO 37123 earlier this year that demonstrates our commitment to fostering resilience. Next slide, please, Justine. So the city of Vaughan is situated in the regional municipality of York, which is located just north of the border on Canada's largest city, Toronto, in the province of Ontario. We experience a continental climate characterized by 4 distinct seasons. Our summers are hot and humid, and our winters are very cold and often accompanied by heavy snowfall. Vaughan is a vibrant and diverse community that represents more than 200 ethnic and cultural origins. English is the first language for 45% of Vaughan residents. Our other prominent languages spoken in our community include Italian, Russian, and Mandarin. Next slide. So Vaughan is a city with a diverse age composition characterized by a youthful but aging population. According to our 2021 census, the children aged 0 to 14 accounted for 16% of the population, which is on par with our national average. The working age population, those 15 to 64, comprise 68%, which surpasses our national average of 65%. And our older population, age 65 and over, represent 16% of the total population, which is lower than our national average of 19%. And in 2021, our average age of the population was 40.9 years. That's an increase from 39.2 years in our last census in 2016. Next slide, please. So Statistics Canada estimates Vaughan's population at the end of 2022, as I said, nearing 340,000. That's a 5% increase over our 2021 census population of just over 323,000. Our population ranks 8th in Ontario and 17th across Canada. At just over 272 square kilometers, Vaughan's population density is 1.186 people per square kilometer, and that's going to continue to increase as Vaughan intensifies. In terms of our future growth, Vaughan's expected to accommodate over 1/3 of the population growth in the York region, with a projected population of 572,700 by 2051. That's an increase of about 230,000 people over the next 3 decades, which brings with it both challenges and opportunities. So that wraps up my portion of our resilience profile, and I'd like to now pass it over to my colleague Sharon to provide insight into Vaughan's hazard profile and our ongoing efforts in disaster risk reduction. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Kelly. So with Vaughan, we have multitude of hazards, as would most municipalities will have, but our highest risk hazard is a chemical or technical disaster. Given the nature of our city being a major transportation hub for rail and road transportation, as well as a manufacturing hub, chemical incidents are high priority. While we experience landslides or subsidence mainly in the way of sinkholes, they are not really high up our list of hazards. We also have the unfortunate positioning of being in Canada's tornado alley and have experienced past tornadoes as recently as 2021. Next slide, please. So with the objectives of the disaster risk reduction, much of what many of the objectives are actually embedded in current legislation that the city must comply with at a provincial level. So these have been ongoing for over 18 years now and has positioned the city in a very positive point where we are actually very resilient to be able to manage. Where we're looking at is further evolving our processes to ensure that it's not just a single department response, it is embedded in the corporate structure and it's a part of the corporate culture in the long run. One of the exciting things that we're working on right now is embedding disaster risk reduction into our official plan for development in the city. So, and that wraps up for Vaughan.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Sharon. I'll just pin our next speakers so everyone can see them. So next, I would like to, apologies here. Sorry, one moment. I pinned the wrong speakers. Sorry about that, Marwa. I'd like to, there we are. Aylin. I'd like to welcome Aylin Fernandez, the acting IT director in the city of Doral, as Patricia mentioned, just outside of Miami-Dade, or in the Miami-Dade region, rather, outside of Miami-Dade City in Florida. Welcome, Aylin.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Aylin Fernandez. I'm the acting information technology director for the city of Doral, and I'm happy to be here and present to you the city of Doral. Next slide, Justin. Doral is located within the Miami-Dade County in the south area of the state of Florida in the United States. Doral is one of 34 cities in Miami-Dade County and encompasses an area of approximately 15 square miles. With a population over 75,000, Doral is a growing economic hub within the county. Our main economic industries are tourism, travel, media, and medical services. We're housed to over 250 company headquarters and over 100 multinational companies. Since 2016, Doral has received 6 Platinum ISO 37120 certifications, 1 Early Adopter ISO 37122 certification, and 1 Early Adopter ISO 37123 certification. Next slide. And here you can see where Doral is located at the southwest area of the state of Florida, also of the United States. Next slide. Thank you. Doral is one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Florida. We're growing significantly over time with an annual average population and density growth of 4.5%. The city has a large young population, as you can see, with 75% of residents under the age of 50. Next slide. Doral also has a large immigrant population with over 65% of the city's residents having been born outside of the United States. And a big percentage of these come from Latin America, like myself. Next slide. Thank you. The greatest threats to Doral critical infrastructure include extreme weather, pandemics, accidents or technical failures, acts of terrorism, and cyber threats. Specific natural hazards include droughts, flooding, saltwater intrusion, severe storm, wildfire, erosion, hurricanes, sea level rise, tornadoes, and winter storm. The highest ranking ones are flooding, hurricane, tornado, and sea level rise. Next slide. All this is outlined in the Doral Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, which is published by the Doral Police Department. The plan establishes policies and procedures and assigns roles and responsibilities to ensure the effective management for all hazard emergency operations. It defines the scope of preparedness, mitigation, incident management activities, and recovery. It is consistent with the Florida Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan and the Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. The plan was adopted by the City Council in August 2018, and it is readopted every 4 years. It was started by the Office of Emergency Management with input from all the city departments. The city's Human Resources and Finance Department regulate risk management, along with the Office of the Emergency Management that does the risk assessments. The city also has a Divisional Emergency Operations Center, which provides physical location from which centralized emergency management can be performed during any major emergency or disaster. Thank you. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much, Aylin. I'm just going to pin our next speakers now. And welcome Dr. Hajar Saeed, the CEO of Ajman Statistics Center, and Marwan Al-Najjar, the Executive of Data Collection at the Ajman Statistics Center in the Emirate of Ajman in the United Arab Emirates. Over to you.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Marwan Najjar, Executive of Data Collection at Ajman Statistics Center. Today I will represent Emirate of Ajman Resilience Profile. Next, please. Emirate of Ajman locates on the coast of the Arabian Gulf within the Northern Emirates. It's running directly to Sharjah. It's the smallest emirate in terms of land, to 255.6 kilometers square, but it's the fourth most populations of the 7 emirates. Emirates of Ajman consist of 3 regions or cities, Ajman City, Manama, and Masfout. Ajman City is the capital of the Emirate of Ajman with an estimated population around 557,000, which is 97% of the emirate. The Emirate of Ajman ranked 3rd among 7 emirates in terms of industrial residences. There is a suitable climate for investment by providing facilities for businesses sector, in addition to presence of Ajman Port Free Zone that provide facility for foreign investments. Emirate of Ajman seek to achieve resilience for emergency shocks, in addition to identifying ways to recovering. The resilience structure in the Emirate of Ajman consists of several departments such as Municipality and Planning Department, Ajman Police Department of Civil Defense, and Disaster and Crisis Management. In addition to Ajman Statistics Center, which is collect data and publish statistical report and statistical and sustainability report frequently. Also, there were a representative of the Emirate of Ajman present in the Emergency and Crisis Management Summit in Abu Dhabi 2023 to discuss the emergency crisis and disaster management, in addition to highlight the future of the sector in terms of increasing threats and risk around the world. Also, there is an annual a conference for the international environment. It hosts in the Emirate of Ajman for 6 years. The Emirates of Ajman launched a business continuity intensive in all governments for evaluating the current practice applying in government entities. Also, the Emirate of Ajman commit to become more resilient by having the ISO 37123 certificate for this year. Next, please. This map shows the location of the Emirate of Ajman. Next, please. Okay, this figure shows the Emirates of Ajman GDP. Emirates economy achieved rapid development and growth over past years. as shown in this figure, like Emirates of Ajman have a high ability to recover in economy drops, as like for year 2020, for the corona pandemic, we can see that there is a drop in the GDP, but in 2021, it's recovered fast and get the highest growth rate from the past 10 years. Next, please. And the main economic activities in the Emirate of Ajman is construction and real estate with 30.7%, manufacturing with 19.5%, and wholesale and retail trade for 18.9%. These activities contribute in 69.1% of Ajman GDP for the year 2021. Next, please. Okay, this pie chart represents the age demographic profile of the Emirate of Ajman. The demographic data helps decision makers to draw policies and future plans of the Emirates. The community, as shown in the graph, the community of the Emirate of Ajman is characterized as a youthful community. Like we can see, there is 55% of the population between 25 to 49 age group, and 10% of the population between 15 to 24 age groups, and only 10% of the population is adult population and senior population. Next, please. Okay, this table shows the current and the future population growth rate in the Emirate of Ajman, and we can say that the growth rate is between 1.2% to 2% only. Next, please. And here is the Ajman density population for the years 2017 and 2022. And we can see the increase of the population density of the Emirate of Ajman. Okay, Emirate of Ajman faces different hazards during the last 10 years, such as flood, pandemic, heat wave, earthquakes. The resilience structure that I mentioned before, they try to reach the community to readiness of this hazard using alternative languages and in different tools such as economic meetings, public meetings, signs and posters, text messages, social media. Next, please. Yes. And the future goals of Ajman in resilient improvement is to share experience with other cities and conduct an orientation workshop on resilience with the staff and city council, conduct an awareness events, also conduct an assessment to improve city strategy and to integrate risk reduction and resilience into the city development planning and budgeting. Thank you, Sad.
Thank you so much, Marwa. I'll stop sharing here for our next presentation. And welcome, last but not least, Peter Einarsson, a specialist in the Financial Information and Data Department of the Director's Office in Reykjavik. So Peter, I'll turn it over to you to share your slides.
Yeah. All right. Okay, does it show up correctly on the screen?
It does. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, thank you. So nice to be here with you. I'm going to try to be brief because I see we're running out of time here. So a little bit of background about the city of Reykjavik. It is the capital of Iceland and is located in the southwestern region of the country. It is part of the greater capital area of Iceland along with 6 other municipalities. The population of Reykjavik in 2023 was around 140,000, and the population of the greater capital area is around 247,000, and the population of Iceland as a whole is around 387,000. So then you can see that 35% of the Icelandic population live in Reykjavik and around 60% live in the capital area. In the last 15 years or so, tourism has become the main economic industry of Reykjavik and Iceland as a whole, with hundreds and thousands of tourists visiting Reykjavik every year, which is a lot for a relatively small city and small country. Reykjavik has been pursuing WCCD ISO certifications since the year 2020. We got our first platinum certification for ISO 37120 in the year 2020 and have since implemented both the SMART standard ISO 37122 and the resilience standard 123. And the city is currently working on gathering data for all three standards simultaneously. And here you can see the location of Iceland in the North Atlantic and Reykjavik there in the southwestern corner. So yeah, the population of the city has grown rapidly over the last 10 years. In the year 2022 alone, we had a 3.1 increase in the population of Reykjavik. That is an increase of more than 4,000 people in 1 year, which is pretty much for such a small city. And in the last 10 years, the population has increased by around 20,000. So we've gone from around 120,000 in 2013 to almost 140,000 in 2023. Alongside the population growth, the density of the city has also increased. Reykjavik has focused on densifying the city to contribute to a more sustainable society and meeting increased demand for housing. Reykjavik is facing challenges regarding rapid population growth and rising housing demand, like I said, in a difficult economic and political landscape. A large young adult population, like you can see there, and increasing immigration means that the housing demand is high and the city is facing challenges with solving these issues. Among the things that are affecting the economic situations both in Reykjavik and Iceland are high inflations, large adult population. We have a lack of funding from the government for some specific services the city is required to provide. Then, of course, there's war in Ukraine, which has affected the economy in all of Europe, which has also led to increased immigration. And Reykjavik and Iceland has welcomed many refugees from the Ukraine. This economic situation is putting stresses on the city to fulfill its basic services alongside this rapid population growth. So onto the hazard profile. Reykjavik faces environmental hazards that include earthquakes, flooding risks, volcanic eruptions, not in Reykjavik, but near to Reykjavik, and the occasional avalanche and wildfires. None of these natural hazards are really huge threats to the future of the city at the moment, but rising sea level due to climate change could be a real threat in the future. The resilience planning of Iceland in the case of natural hazards is largely in the hands of the Icelandic government, but Reykjavik, of course, works closely with them and other institutions on natural hazard prevention and planning. The Environmental Planning Department of Reykjavik has also assessed future risk of climate change to the city. These risks include the rising sea level, flooding from both sea and river, and from wastewater and rain, and also increased risk of severe weather and biodiversity change both in sea and on land. So Reykjavik has an emergency management plan which works with other agencies in the case of a disaster risk. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic. We do not have a dedicated disaster risk officer, but we do have a risk officer in Stefania, who's here with us today. And we run a risk assessment department, but that focuses more on financial risks and risks concerning the quality of service rather than natural hazards, at least at the moment. So as you can see from the short summary, the more immediate risks Reykjavik is dealing with are more of the economical type. The immediate natural hazards are more a cooperation between the government institutions such as the Icelandic Weather Office and the National Department of Civil Protection and Emergency Management, and then different municipalities like Reykjavik and the neighboring cities. So thank you. And if you have any questions, the team from Reykjavik is happy to answer them in the discussion part.
Thank you so much, Peter. Just give me one moment to, there we are. And I'll just turn it back to Patricia. I know we only have a couple of minutes left, but I'll turn it back to Patricia. Thank you everyone for your presentations this morning.
That was very, very interesting. Thank you so very much, everyone, for your presentations. They're really enlightening. I know the profiles are really important as a starting point in our discussions to over the next couple of webinars. So this was a fantastic base of discussion. I wonder if you have any questions for each other. I know there's one in the chat line from Sharon and Vaughan. Are there any of the cities pursuing ISO 3722301 for business continuity planning? That's another ISO standard that you might be all interested in. She's just wondering if anyone has started to think about that ISO adoption. Anyone at all? I don't believe so. I'm not seeing anyone.
Hi, Doctor. We are pursuing ISO 22301 business continuity in Ajman. It was compulsory for all the departments during the pandemic to have it. It was required from the emergency city department that all of the entity in Emirates of Ajman to have it. And as Ajman Statistics Center, we have it. It's per entity, not per the city. So it's a little bit different.
Is Vaughan thinking about adopting that? Sharon?
Yes, we are. We're working towards that and aligning our business continuity planning processes directly with the ISO standard for 22301.
Great. So Dr. Hajar might be able to give you any advice on that and how what their experience has been.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Have you completed it, Dr. Hajar? Is it already, you've been certified
Yes.
under? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great. So maybe Sharon, if you want to reach out, that would be a good conversation to continue. Are there any other questions by any of you to each other based on the presentations? I know we only have a few minutes, but anyone at all, you can just raise your hand. No. I was struck by the placement of the resilience effort in cities and how it differs across so many of the cities. Perhaps it would be interesting as we go forward. I know we don't have much time today to continue this discussion, but one of the things that struck me was this, the different places in which resilience sits within the city, and how sometimes it's in the police services leading. Sometimes it's in the planning offices leading. I was thinking about that experience and how you also bring it to council, to the political level, that might be a question that we could consider for next time, just to think about the differential strategies and your experiences in propelling a resilience roadmap based on where it sits. I know Peter mentioned much of it's still within the national government, the relationship to the city policies and development to the national. Other cities, it's embedded right within the city itself in terms of their strategies, sometimes in the police department, sometimes in development planning. That differential setting from a policy perspective and a political perspective could be a really interesting comparative discussion going forward. If you wanted to give that some thought before the next webinar, we could pick up on that again in June. Unless there's any comments now, then I think we're already at the hour, unfortunately. Perhaps I should just say thank you. Unless there's any questions, I'm pinned, so I can't actually see the whole board. Yeah. Let's see. Everyone are good? No questions, no comments? Okay. Well, thank you very, very, very much for your time this morning and for this introduction on this profile of each of your cities and how we can think about